everyone, how are you? Good morning and welcome to RE Academy Podcast, One Student, One Creativity. So where we walk the talk of English learning and in modern education. So it's been a really long time since the last time we had this conversation and also the last time we had this podcast. So what a lovely morning, isn't it? And I promise you this time it will be another great interactive educational podcast. So I'm your Hill of Moonlight, Salsa, who will be the host for today's podcast. And joining me today we have Meilani, bright as the sunshine, and she will bring joy and expertise to our podcast. Alright, hello May, welcome to our podcast. And it's been a really long time since the last time we have this conversation, and also I hope that you enjoy being here. So don't be too formal or don't be too stiff. Just do it casually because we're here to give your best opinion about the podcast. So you can also greet the audience first.
Okay, good morning to our host here. Thank you so much for having me, and good morning to you all who's listening to the RE Academy podcast. And I'm so glad for being here. And yeah, I'm well, as you can see, and I can see that you're well too from your smile, Salsa.
Alright, splendid. And I hope that also our listener here have a bright smile when you hear our podcast. So even if you are not, may this podcast can make you feel better and also make you smile more in your today's activity. So Meilani, before we jump to our conversation, do you mind if I read your CV first?
No worries, I love that because what the folk saying around, tak kenal maka tak sayang.
Alright, let me introduce you to our special guest for today. So, this pretty girl named Meilani Amelia, so she was born in May 22nd, 2005. She is an excellent English education student who actually currently writing a paper about climate change in English education. So, before we move about climate change and also about her opinion, let's right into the commercial break. Let's wait and see. Alright, now we're back. So, okay, let's get started to our conversation. Okay. So, since you are currently writing a paper about climate change, and I'm sure your presence here means that you already know a lot about climate change. So, and I'd like to hear your opinion first. What do you think of our climate change, our current climate change, with the unending pollution and maybe some undisclosed activity that makes our living place getting worse every day?
Well, yeah, Salsa, to be honest, it would be a lie if I told you that we're living just fine right now. And I know some of our listeners can feel the heat too nowadays, isn't it? So it's impossible to sleep at night without having your fan or your AC turned on. So here's the thing, Salsa. This heat isn't a new issue. It's our friend from many years ago, and we escalated the situation with some certain biological decision to fulfill our dream.
Alright, that's right, you nailed the coffin. Interesting. And I'm generally nodding my head when you're talking about like turning the AC on or maybe like the fan on, because I also feel the same as you.
Yes.
So let's talk about the world of education. So do you think that we can incorporate and raise the importance of climate change through the subject? Since you are English education student, maybe you can talk especially in English.
Okay, so of course, I assure you that this is the most obvious early step that we should have done. Teachers should implement since the very beginning their students know English.
I see. So you want to say the earlier the better, am I right?
That's my point, Salsa. So now imagine, instead of fear-mongering the students about the impacts of climate change, we as a teacher instead can reach them first with not just concerns about the effect, but also the fact that there's a way to restore the condition. So I'm talking about my experience as a student too. So my English teacher back in high school asked us to write a report text with a climate change theme.
Alright, so you actually doing the practical experiences by making a report text
Yes.
about climate change.
Mm.
Okay, I love that. So we're talking about a real example of integrating climate change. So what's the vibe there? And do you still remember one or two things that your teacher taught you when you using climate change as the topic?
Okay, so if my memory serves well, she taught us about the impact of climate change. And now, Salsa, I'd like to ask you a question. Can I? Okay.
Yes, yeah.
So just answer it briefly. So what comes to your mind when you hear about climate change and student life?
All right, so that's an interesting question actually. So I have to take several minutes maybe to think about the answer.
Take your time.
So,
okay.
well, what comes to my mind first is about the course disruption, I think, because like several remote areas in the east of Indonesia that unfortunately have to shut down because of the floods. And I saw also a news stories that some times ago, and my heart just can't deal with it because of the floods. So put aside the fact, there's also one thing that most people forget. It's about the students' mental health.
Okay, students' mental health. Very well, Salsa. So your last word was very necessary for me because this topic seems so left alone behind the curtain. So I'm happy you finally brought it to the table. Okay, so while we agree that climate change does affect students' academic being, it's also affect their mental health, in your opinion.
Yes, and I couldn't agree more with your opinion because mental health is one of the most thing that is important about climate change, because climate change is not always about the floods or something earthquake like something else.
Absolutely.
All right, let's flip the table again, May. And I've been meaning to ask since the very beginning of our podcast. So, to be frank, there's a lot of teenagers saying or believe that climate change wasn't necessary for their academic journey. So, I'd like to hear your opinion first. And how would you integrate the issue with maybe other aspects like social, economy, or even culture, so the students are finally attracted and to learn about climate change?
Okay, I totally get why some students think that climate change isn't necessary for their academic journey. So like if you're studying for math or get into the uni, it might feel like some distant issue that doesn't affect your grade, okay? But here's the deal. Climate change isn't just about rising temperatures or melting ice caps, It's deeply related to social justice, economic stability, and also the cultural identity. For example, in culture, we can show how climate change affects traditional lifestyles, languages, and indigenous practices.
All right, you're cooking there, I think. All right, everybody, thank you so much. This is for the first conversation of our podcast, and Meilani, as our guest, already give her opinion about many aspects, such as the culture one and also the economical one. So we will right back after the commercial break. See you. Alright, now we're back to the Academy podcast, and we will continue our conversation about climate change, and it is still a very long conversation with Meilani since it is very interesting one. So let's pick up the last time we left it. So I guess we can start from your experience again. So do you mind to continue your experience?
Well, I'm totally okay with that, Salsa. You can ask me anything related to this topic.
Alright, since you are allowed me and also give me the green light, so we already know that the fact your teacher taught you about how to write the text about climate change.
Okay.
So, how does it help you in writing your recent paper that also coincidentally aligns with climate change? And also, how do you feel about that?
Okay, so learning how to report news about climate change in English really helped me, improve my writing skills in every aspect. So it taught me how to structure ideas and information clearly, use factual evidence, and also highlight real-world impact. So which might make my writing skills, improved and more persuasive and more organized. Okay, so instead of just listing problems, I could explain causes, effects, and possible solutions about climate change. like an actual journalist, which is my dream job.
Okay.
So, and you asked about my opinion too. Okay, so I'm exhausted, of course.
What?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So after finishing the paper, I felt more, like confident
Mhm.
and more aware of this topic, which is climate change.
Alright, so I think it was a bit unexpected because at first you were saying that you say you are exhausted, but also you say you are just joking.
Yes.
But then you say that you are confident. So which one? Do you still exhausted or you are still confident enough?
No, actually, about that exhausted feeling, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. I really feel excited when it comes to this topic and also academic writing. So yeah, I feel so confident and became more aware of this topic.
Alright, I like that, and thank you so much for giving me the confirmation about you prefer to be confident rather than exhausted.
Okay.
Alright, so let's say that you've given a change to write an article about climate change to one of the world's leader or your favorite person, and what comes to your mind? Who is the favorite person?
Okay, this is for so intriguing. Okay,
Mhm.
so I have a lot of names in my head right now because I have so many interests. But if you want me to choose one, it's one member of my favorite K-band. It's Wonto from Day6. So can I tell about this here?
Yes, I've heard about that band. Maybe it's about a band that really popular for You Are Beautiful, I guess. It is very popular.
Yes, it's
Yes.
Yeposo.
Yes.
In Korea, it's Yeposo. Yes, that's
Okay.
very popular.
Alright, it is so funny and it is a bit unexpected because I didn't expect that you will say one of your favorite K-band. But it's okay, everyone has preference.
Yes.
Alright, and I'll let you yap about him. And now give us your answer about why do you choose him as your favorite person?
Okay, so alright. If I really write an article that blends climate change with emotional depth, just like his vibe, one Pill's vibe. So the thing is, I focus on how climate change isn't just about environmental issues, but a true heart issue. It affects the people we love, the places we feel safe in, and also the peace that you're searching for this whole time.
Oh my god, the way you capture your feeling just touched the deepest of my heart actually. And I'm actually in awe. So
Okay.
to get people to care about climate change, aside from the scientific reasoning, so we can also use an interpersonal and empathy approach. Now, May, actually I want to ask you regarding something about your recent works actually. So about your article.
Okay.
And so how do we can write the article on climate change in English that remain contextualization with local experiences? Since Indonesia has a massive biodiversity background and culture.
Okay, so this is very complicated and very complex actually. So let's take a short tour from our province and my hometown. So if we take the geological context in these areas, we can write a climate change article that discusses things like mining, land degradation, and also coastal erosion. For example, Belitung in my hometown is famous for its tin mining. You know tin mining?
Yes.
Okay. And also, which has dramatically changed our whole landscape. If you look at our land from the above, there are so many holes.
Yes, that's right.
We're finished actually. And the effect is that it disrupts ecosystems and local water resources. Meanwhile, in South Sumatra here, the peatland areas are drying up faster, and they're easily burning, especially during long drought seasons, which are now worsened by changing climate patterns. So how climate change isn't some distant thing, okay? So it's here in our soil, in our land, in our water. Yeah, that's very complicated.
Alright, I see. So it's different from any region because your hometown is from Bangka Belitung and also you are taking your study in Sumatera Selatan, so you can actually differentiate about the other region.
Yes.
Alright, and actually I have a silly thought if you don't mind.
I don't mind at all.
Alright.
Okay.
Since article seems like a really major and hard task to do, do you think storytelling
Okay.
is also effective to get people to care about climate change? Because I believe that with storytelling, our audience target range could reach far better. And what do you think about that? Do you agree with that?
Well, that's not silly question at all. It's very serious actually. Okay. So in my opinion, storytelling is sharp and visionary for real. So it isn't just effective but transformational.
Okay.
So while articles give us facts and arguments, storytelling give us faces and feelings
Okay.
through the story.
Alright, so I'm so sorry because I thought it was just a silly question.
No,
I
it's
don't
not
know
silly
that
at all.
your answer is kind of serious and also that you focus on the feelings about the storytelling also. Alright, that's actually the clever answer that I expected from our special guest today. So this is gonna be our last question for our today's episode. So the last question is, how would you construct climate change as a concept-based article, especially in the context of English language learning?
Okay, time flies, doesn't it? Okay, so I'll give you my short answer. Yeah, because our time is very limited, right? So I construct it by focusing on the vocabulary, the factual evidence, and also integrating local issue with like floods, tin mining, like I've mentioned before, and guiding students to really analyze the situations, like the causes, effects, and also the possible solutions to climate change. So
Right. I see. So you're focusing more on the vocabulary and also you also mentioned like before you also mentioned the tin mining and also the floods. Alright, thank you so much May for giving us the really amazing session for today's and also you give us your best opinion about climate change and thank you so much for participating and I hope that you really enjoy this session.
And I'm so glad to be here to share my opinions, share stories, and you have a lot of knowledge about climate change though, Salsa. I didn't expect it before.
Alright, May, once again, I want to say thank you so much for participating in our today's episode. It was really such a pleasure time to have you here as our special guest. And also, actually, we have our special tagline for our Academy podcast.
What
you
is
can
it?
say,
Tell me.
one student, one creative. And
Okay.
don't forget the body gesture, one student, one creative.
Okay.
You can say that. You can use both of your hand, but maybe you can prefer it with your left hand.
Okay.
Alright, so let's do this.
Yeah.
In 3, 2, 1. RI Academy Podcast.
One student, one creativity.
Alright, the future of our education is in your hand and creativity is the key to unlock its potential. Until next time, stay curious, stay creative, and let's keep exploring the endless possibilities of learning. See you in the next episode. Down to zero, we go.
Bye bye. Thank you.